Well, it's a pleasure to see so many alumni, parents, friends, faculty, and staff colleagues here this afternoon. It's a real cross-section of the worldwide community of the George Washington University. And I do hope that you're all enjoying this inaugural Global Forum. Our experiment this weekend highlights the reality of the George Washington University's global reach. George Washington's dream was to establish a university that would bring together students from the small number of former colonies that made up the new nation he had done so much to found. Today, his university draws students from all 50 of the United States and from more than 130 nations. Certainly, though, the largest concentration of GW's international students comes from Asia, with more than 1,000 students from that region currently enrolled. The largest contributor this year was China, with Korea and India close behind. GW students are also studying across Asia in programs like our exchange with Kyoto University in Japan, Ewha Women's University in Korea, and the National University of Singapore, among many other institutions. In fact, GW's study abroad programs are ranked 11th in size among the more than 3,000 higher education institutions of all sizes in the United States. And then, crucially, there is our community of alumni. Of our 225,000 alumni across the world, most, of course, are in the United States, but 3,000 are now living in Asia, with the largest concentrations in Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. Now, I mention these numbers just to suggest one of the many reasons why our international presence plays such an important role as we think about the university's future. Back in Washington, our campus events often have an international focus, which helps to expose our students to world affairs and educate them about their responsibilities as global citizens. And again, just a few examples. This past summer, we presented an honorary Doctor of Public Service degree to His Excellency Lee Myung-bak, President of the Republic of Korea, during a ceremony on our campus. President Lee has strong ties to GW, having served as a visiting scholar of international business for 2 years in the late 1990s. Earlier this fall, GW hosted in our historic Lisner Auditorium an unprecedented conversation on the reach of American power and persuasion with United States Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Secretary of Defense Robert Gates. This conversation, broadcast by CNN to a global audience of more than 6 million, was moderated by CNN Chief International Correspondent Christian Amanpour and former CNN White House Bureau Chief and now GW Professor Frank Sesno. And I have to say that while that was broadcast by CNN and while Christian Amanpour did play a role in that, it was really initiated by Frank Sesno. And we were all delighted last summer when Frank agreed to serve as director of our School of Media and Public Affairs. And I'm delighted to note he's a participant here today and is with us. And Frank, just want to recognize you here for your role at the university. Just last week, we welcomed the mayor of Jerusalem, Nir Barkat, who addressed the Middle East Policy Forum at our Elliott School of International Affairs. And you've heard from Dean Phillips, Dean of our business school, earlier in the forum. I also want to recognize that Mike Brown, Dean of the Elliott School of International Affairs, is also here today. So, Mike. The program of the Middle East Policy Forum was hosted by GW alumnus and now Kuwait professor of Gulf and Arabian Peninsula Affairs, Edward Skip Ghanim, who prior to his faculty position at GW served as United States Ambassador to Australia, Kuwait, and Jordan, among other senior positions in the State Department. My focus so far has been on GW's global engagement, but alumni and parents will also be happy to know that we're by no means neglecting our campuses in Washington and in the greater capital region. On our Foggy Bottom campus in downtown Washington, we have a new 20-year plan for the campus, which will provide the framework for future development. One of the most significant projects will be a new science and engineering complex to provide much-needed laboratory and classroom space. That new complex will be designed to foster innovative research collaborations that will cut across departmental lines and give students an opportunity to share the excitement of faculty working at the frontiers of knowledge. Many of you studied at GW before we acquired the beautiful Mount Vernon campus in the Palisades neighborhood. above Georgetown. The campus has its own library, includes courses from nearly all of GW's undergraduate programs, and houses our women's leadership program, as well as programs in interior design and forensic sciences. Construction is now underway of a new 300-bed residence hall, complete with a new student life center, including an art suite and dining facilities. And then there is our 100-acre science and technology campus in Northern Virginia, just a few minutes north of Dulles International Airport. I think many of you would be surprised that we have a campus like that, 100 full acres in that strategic location in the heart of Virginia's technology sector. GW investigators there are doing cutting-edge work on alternative energy sources, transportation safety, and high-performance computing. Just this fall, we added a new nursing program that will be training 100 nurses by next year. And it may surprise you to learn that GW now teaches some 3,000 graduate students at multiple sites in Virginia, from Alexandria all the way down to Norfolk, making us one of the largest private universities in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Meanwhile, on top of all these ways in which GW is growing in Washington and across the greater capital region, the academic quality of our programs has continued to rise. Our undergraduate programs, to focus on just one area, are more selective now than ever. Last year, we had the largest number of applications ever, more than 20,000 for fewer than 2,500 slots. And the entering class was also the strongest ever in terms of SAT scores and the number of freshmen who had graduated in the top 10% of their high school classes. Our aspiration now is to match the excellence of our teaching with the power of our research. As a matter of fact, our investment in research is also an investment in our teaching. There's no more exciting way to learn than to work with a professor who is pushing a frontier of knowledge, whether the field is neuroscience, literature, environmental engineering, or international law. So without in any way lessening our commitment to the classroom, we are building our stature as a university that contributes to the solution of national and global problems. You are seeing some of what this means through the discussions taking place at this first-of-its-kind global forum. We're making rapid progress thanks to the support of our alumni and the efforts of our faculty. Just a few examples that I think are particularly relevant to Asia. James Clark, the Ronald B. Weintraub Professor of Biology, is working with the Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology of the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. These efforts have already produced a number of important discoveries, including the oldest horned dinosaur and a scientifically important ancestor of modern birds. The GW Law School is partnering with the Indian Institute of Technology to develop the new Rajiv Gandhi School of Intellectual Property Law in Kharagpur, India. This partnership will result in the creation of a first-class law school alongside one of the world's premier technology institutions. Richard Grinker, professor of anthropology and international affairs, is leading a team of researchers with the Islam School Board, the Korean Institute for Children's Development, and Yonsei University in the first ever prevalence study of autism spectrum disorders in Korea. The results of this research are expected to be published in 2010, but are already increasing autism awareness in Korea. The School of Engineering and Applied Science, and you met the former dean earlier this morning, now a university president here in Hong Kong. The School of Engineering and Applied Science is collaborating with the University of Nagoya in Japan to identify new ways to ensure the validity of devices that are used to test products for child safety. Professor of Political Science and International Affairs Henry Nau and Associate Director of the Sigura Center for Asian Studies, Deepa Alupali, received a grant from the Carnegie Corporation to study worldviews of major and aspiring powers. The Sigura Center, based in our Elliott School of International Affairs, promotes research and policy analysis on Asia, and since 2004 has awarded more than $1 million in student fellowship aid for the study of Asia. Also affiliated with the Sigura Center is GW alumnus, Professor of Political Science and International Affairs, and Director of the Elliott School's China Policy Program, David Shambaugh, who is with us today and from whom we look forward to hearing during one of this afternoon's panel discussions. Well, these are just a few examples, but perhaps they give you some idea of the wide range and impact of research at today's George Washington University. To help us build on these achievements, I decided last year to create the new position a vice president for research. And we were very fortunate that we were able to persuade a top neuroscientist from the University of California at Davis to take on this new role. I'm delighted to note that Dr. Leo Chalupa is here with us also today. Dr. Chalupa, right here. Since arriving just last April, Dr. Chalupa has already made a number of improvements in our research operations. He's consolidated the research offices of the Medical Center and the rest of the university under a single structure, set up a new unit to help faculty write grant applications, and created an entrepreneurship center to help faculty bring their intellectual property to market if they have an interest in doing so, and to help students in that endeavor as well. Working directly with faculty across the institution, he's also identified a number of areas that seem especially promising for new investments in collaborative research to augment our existing initiatives. At the top of his current list, his list so far, are autism, computational biology, sustainability, science policy, energy, and neglected tropical diseases. Let me focus just a moment here on a single one of those areas, and that's sustainability, because I know that's of great interest around the world and here in Asia as everywhere else. George Washington, as the largest university in the U.S. Capitol, has a unique opportunity to take a leadership position, especially in the field of urban sustainability. In other words, the study of how cities can reduce their impact on the climate and become more livable communities in the process. Fortunately, we already have numerous strengths in the broader field of sustainability across our faculty in the sciences, engineering, law, public policy, business. This has already produced some early successes, such as our launching last year a new Institute for the Analysis of Solar Energy, our setting up on the Virginia campus of a team of scientists and engineers to do groundbreaking work on alternative energy sources, and the 2 symposia on urban sustainability we've already co-hosted with the Washington, D.C. city government. When it comes to sustainability, we're also committed to practicing what we teach. GW was the first university in Washington to sign the American College and University President's Climate Commitment. The signing of the climate commitment has led to, among other things, the creation of the Office of Sustainability to coordinate the university's many efforts in this area. The new office is also connected to GW's Green Alumni Network, a virtual community of alumni who have a shared interest in issues related to sustainability. And I will say to alumni present here, if you're interested in becoming connected with that effort, I hope you'll let our staff know. We'd be happy to reach out to you and let you know what we're doing and how you can become involved. Our efforts are beginning to receive some national recognition, our efforts in sustainability. The College Sustainability Report Card from the Sustainable Endowments Institute recently named GW as a campus sustainability leader. Our Green Move Out program, which encourages students to recycle items they wish to discard when they leave at the end of each academic year, recently received the Green Business Award for Innovation from the Washington Business Journal. Now, our students have embraced sustainability as a core value of their university, just as much as they embrace another of its core values, and I think all of you will recognize this, and that is the value of public service. Last month, we held a celebration of service at the Smithsonian Museum of American History. We honored GW alumna and United States Assistant Veterans Secretary Tammy Duckworth with the inaugural Colin Powell Public Service Award, named for the former United States Secretary of State, who is himself a GW alumnus. At that celebration, I had the pleasure of announcing our creation of a new Center for Public Service and Civic Engagement, which will coordinate service activities across the university and support our students as they seek internships and, in some cases, careers in the world of public service. This past September, we held our first ever Freshman Day of Service. 1,400 new students, representing over half the freshman class, spread out across the city to participate in service projects. Well, 2 of those students joined President and Mrs. Obama as they took part in a Habitat for Humanity project, painting a house that was being refurbished. The First Lady took the occasion to issue a dramatic challenge to the entire George Washington community. If we perform 100,000 hours of service by May 1st, she will join us at commencement on the National Mall as our keynote speaker. And some of you here are parents who have graduating seniors this year, and I guarantee you that they will be with the First Lady on that event, because if on April 1st We haven't hit that 100,000 hours. I'm going to be cleaning every park in Washington, D.C. personally. You can bet. I'll tell you one thing I think is impressive about this is that our Board of Trustees voted unanimously that every single member of the Board of Trustees between now and May 1st would commit to performing 60 hours of public service in the community. That's an extraordinary commitment on the part of a very busy group of people on top of everything else they do for the university. So I was very encouraged and moved by that action on the part of the Board of Trustees. Just this past Wednesday, Mrs. Obama was on our campus along with Dr. Jill Biden, wife of the Vice President, to join us in marking Veterans Day. I had the opportunity to let her know we'd already completed 20,000 hours and our pace was accelerating. While there are many notable examples of GW alumni who are taking leadership roles in public service, we need look no further than the list of today's featured participants, which of course includes United States Trade Representative, former United States Trade Representative Dr. Susan Schwab, former United States Ambassador to Thailand and Indonesia, Skip Boyce, and former Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Bill Owens. We'll be hearing from them later on. During the 6 international trips I've taken since assuming the presidency just 2 years ago, 4 of those, by the way, to Asia, I've met many alumni around the world who are making a tremendous difference in their communities, as well as fostering communication and understanding across our increasingly smaller world. Well, I hope that by now you have a sense of GW's aspirations for the future and are excited by them. All our alumni and friends can play an important role in achieving these aspirations and can do so in a number of ways. First, you can engage in activities in the region. Your participation in this global forum is just one example of the ways in which you can help us build our lifelong and worldwide community. I urge you to seek out other networking activities, such as the GW Summer Connection events in Hong Kong, Seoul, Beijing, and Singapore that bring together new students and alumni. It's an opportunity for you as alumni to talk to our students as they're on their way to the university. And those have been proven to be very valuable events and really help connect our new students with our university community. You can also connect with the university virtually. As you may have noticed, we have an improved website. We have active Facebook and LinkedIn groups and a virtual career advisor network, and we're extending our career services beyond our current students to our alumni because we understand that in this time of economic turmoil, that's an important role that a university can play, is to help people retool if necessary, look for other career opportunities if they find themselves in the need to do so because of the current economy. You can also keep in touch with the university directly. You can share your impressions, your comments, and your concerns. Many of you have gotten my cards here and got the cards of other staff members. My card has my personal email on it. Anything you send goes directly to me, does not go through staff, comes to me directly. You can also let us know about opportunities for the university to engage in the region and in the connections you are making with, with other GW alumni and friends. And working together, I have no doubt that we'll continue to raise the stature of the George Washington University as a world-class institution that effectively engages the world.